So guys, first, we as Africans, we are so proud and thankful to God because of the fact that our very own Pan-Africanist by the name Joshua Maponga has just survived a road crash. So Maponga, if you don't know, Maponga just had a road crash, I think a week ago, and God has been grateful because Maponga is now back to the media and to push the African agenda. So in this video, we are going to look at what Maponga is talking about. Actually, this is the first time that Maponga is appearing on the media after the recovery from the accident. So imagine he has just recovered from accident and is now again pushing the agenda of democracy, pushing the agenda of Pan-Africanism. This is so lovely and we are thankful to God. Now let's have a look at this video on what Maponga is saying, talking about democracy in Africa. Then when we come back, we can analyze the video further.
The advantage of a dictator is that if he is a dictator who is well disciplined, who has an agenda, who is clear about his objectives, who takes the country as a military base where things must now run in a certain order and get things done, like what Traore is doing. He has even suspended elections. Just wait. Let's get work done first.
Traore.
Is doing
Yeah, but he's criticized the guy. He accepted
You can
the
criticize
same
him.
American
I was there 2 weeks ago.
funding that we refused in Zimbabwe.
I was there 2 weeks ago. Yeah, he's doing very well. The whole country is a construction site. And on the other side, you look at a democratic country like Congo, like Burundi,
Or Zambia.
poorest country in the whole world, Burundi. And then what do we say? Is democracy working? Okay, there you have. You go and you vote, and you're poor. He is a dictator,
Yes.
and he's getting things done. But the disadvantage, however, of dictatorship, if you have a wrong dictator, who then becomes self-aggrandization.
So dictatorship is good, but you need the right dictator, not the good dictator, but the right dictator.
You have never, I used this illustration in the past. You have never seen any of our government officials and church ministers, all of the propagators of democracy, going home and sitting with their children, asking them to vote that I want to make your mother pregnant.
I see.
There's no democracy. The father decides, and the mother, they decide by themselves, and they do what they want to do. Children, you follow. So how do you think that you can practice in government that which you cannot implement in a family circle?
I see.
It's foreign. It's foreign. And hence you find, even in Africa, and I say this with lots of understanding, many of our presidents, immediately they get into power, they want to be treated like kings.
What is the difference between a king and a president?
The spelling.
Of course.
Of course.
So guys, it's the Kenyan professor by the name Professor Pielo Lumumba who normally says this. So if you want to understand what democracy is, can you define democracy in your mother tongue? Can you even define democracy in your mother tongue? If you want to understand what democracy is, because for a very long time, democracy has been defined to we as Africans by the whites. That democracy should be this. For example, democracy should be periodic elections. So if you don't have periodic elections, that is not democracy. That is the main reason why actually the Burkina Faso president Traore is never attending the African Union, because the African Union think that Traore was not democratically elected into office. So what is democracy? Because most of the so-called democratic countries, they are not democratic. To be honest, they are not democratic. Take a good example. Just look at a country like the Democratic Republic of Congo. It is not democratic in one way or another. Okay, the only thing that maybe people think it's the DRC is democratic, it's because they normally have what we call periodic elections. But at the end of the day, that is not democracy. We have to see democracy by even measuring the standards of living of the people. That is what President Traore is doing in Burkina Faso. Even though he was not democratically elected into office, Traore is trying his He's doing his best to make sure that Burkina Faso is moving forward in matters development. Okay? So that is what Maponga is talking about, that Africa needs dictators. But it also needs the so-called good dictators, because Africa has had a bad history when it comes to bad dictators. Take a look at the former president of Democratic Republic of Congo, President Mobutu Sese Seko. Very, very, very bad president. During the pernicious regime of Mobutu Sese Seko, there was looting in the Congo Republic. Okay. Also, we have a good example of a leader who is dubbed to be democratic. Talk about Matthias Nguema of the Central African Republic. Okay, Matthias Nguema, who was elected democratically, but he's not doing anything. In fact, they are looting from the so-called public coffers. So when it comes to democracy, democracy as a concept, we have to redefine what democracy is. Because if democracy means periodic elections, and Traore was not democratically elected, then we need the kind of democracy that Burkina Faso is applying. Because this president was not democratically elected, but we can see changes that he's doing in Burkina Faso. So we need such presidents in Africa for Africa to realize its potential. Good dictators, okay? Good dictators. Because the so-called democratic presidents, they are not doing anything. They are looting from their countries, okay? And the so-called presidents who are not democratically elected into power, that they attained power by the attempted coup, or they did a coup to attain power. For me personally, I normally don't call it a coup. It is just an extraordinary exchange of power. And coups, believe you me, coups, these are languages for the people who are unheard. Because it's not easy for one or for a country to have a coup. So if people are tired of a regime, people are suffering, and the countries are not doing anything, so they tend to do these coups. What Traore did in Burkina Faso way back in 2022. And you can see the progress that he's making in Burkina Faso. The country is moving forward in terms of development. And most of the development that is happening in Burkina Faso, these people are doing development from the public coffers. Can you even imagine that? That the infrastructure projects that are being done in Burkina Faso, it is done from the public coffers. This means that we have a public kitty where individuals normally contribute to this kitty, both in Burkina Faso and outside Burkina Faso. You can even go to the website of the government in Burkina Faso and contribute. And this money that you are contributing is the same money that the president of Burkina Faso is using to develop the country. And if it's borrowing, even if it's borrowing, there is minimal borrowing as far as development in Burkina Faso is concerned. So these are the kind of leaders that we as Africans anticipate, and we want, and we will support. That's why we are talking about them. So gentlemen and gentle ladies, Africa will be great. Africa must be great. Even if it is about dictatorship, even if we need dictators for Africa to be catapulted to another level, then so be it. We will support the dictators that come into power as long as they love their countries and they want to take us to another orbit as far as development is concerned. We are going to support them. So thank you for showing up. If it's your first time, kindly subscribe to the channel. Road to 5,000 subscribers.